You're welcome back. This is UPfront. The first part of this conversation was spent trying to appreciate the president's nomination for the office of special prosecutor. And the very first time this office is being set up in these particular years, this, what they call it, 2017, don't forget, it was part of the NPP's manifesto promises for the year 2016, run up into this particular year. So what is interesting about the office is that it has a job. It is supposed to investigate and prosecute cases of corruption and corruption-related offenses to prevent corruption in the public sector. But it doesn't have to only work in the private sector. Actually, private sector people who are also corrupt dealings with which had everything to do with government would equally be investigated and prosecuted under this office. And as Justice Emeshaw describes it, the pleasant surprise is that Martin Alamisi Benkaisa Amidu, that is the former Attorney General who was Deputy Attorney General for a very long time, under Jerry Rawlings and under J.E.A. Mills between 2011 and 2012, January to January anyway, was also the substantive Attorney General. Of course, he's been very popular for his pursuit of corruption-related cases, even when he was booted out of office in 2012. Popular amongst those is going to the Supreme Court and winning the case against Alfred Agbeshiwoyome, that 51 million Ghana cedis. So we'll be having that conversation, and Justice Emeshaw, former Strat boss, gave us some thoughts in that particular direction. But we're settling into another conversation, which is also to do with the nation Ghana, though. My guest today is an unusual guest here on UPfront. He's very controversial, but looks not so much of controversy in his own eyes. The man of God is also a prophet. He is the head of the Glorious Wave Ministry. Reverend Emmanuel Bedikobi, you are welcome to UPfront.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you are doing well today.
By the grace of God.
I mean, to many, you do not look as controversial as the issues surrounding you and the things you've said in times past, Sam. Is that how you operate?
When you speak, one, the mind of God, two, the truth, you have problem. People want you to speak for them. How they perceive things is how they want you to speak. But you can't speak like anybody. You must speak the way you think, and two, the way God is also thinking.
Let me run this by you. We'll get into the details of that soon. But let me run by you. The biggest news in the country today is the appointment of a special prosecutor. I mean, you in times past have complained about how the nation is being run on several fronts. You've had time to also state your views on some of these issues. Are you impressed with the appointment of Martin Amidu as the special prosecutor?
I remember he once spoke against this office. I remember.
Yes, he wrote several times against it.
So I'm surprised. So I don't know how he can be able to do the same work, the work he spoke against. I don't know.
Maybe his speaking against was to fine-tune the law providing for the office. Now that the law has been established, what prevents him from taking the position?
If the law has been fine-tuned, or if the law has been done, then he should take over, he should do it. But if it's still the same as he said earlier, then he shouldn't touch that office. He shouldn't even be there at all.
Will he deliver? Can he fight corruption?
I know he will deliver, because in times past, he spoke against it. Okay. So I'm sure
that he will
if he fails, I'll be surprised.
We will fight corruption.
I pray he will. And I know he can, because he's somebody who seemingly, you can see what he sees and just perceive that, oh, this man can fight it. Let's see how he goes about it.
But there are those who say that we can never ever root out corruption. It's ingrained in mankind, and greed is part of it. Is this something that, mindful of your experience, you believe in?
Unless we leave this earth, nobody can ever remove corruption. Everybody is corrupt, but there are levels. I always say it. Some want to do it the highest way. Some want to do it the least way. For instance, government will tell you, oh, we are not corrupt. But sometimes you know how they do. They hide it in budgets.
Interesting.
Yes. Oh, they'll hide it in budgets.
Okay.
So they'll just blow the budget. They'll make it big so that they can chop, and they'll say we are not corrupt. Because sometimes when you look at such the amount going to certain areas of the sectors of the economy, sometimes ask yourself why. What is that money? What would that money be used for?
You don't think they are justified?
Most of the money say they are not justified.
Okay. So now I'll ask you to. I mean, we in the Fourth Republic has had Jerry Rawlings, we've had J.E.A. Mills, we also had former President Kufuor, and also had former President Mahama. Then currently, the President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is in charge of the state. Which of them were corrupt?
Except you catch the person.
You can't say they were corrupt.
Nobody is corrupt except you catch the person. That's why I said somebody, it may be seen as incorruptible. But this earth, nobody's incorruptible. But they can find means to get things done.
Even pastors?
Even pastors.
Like yourself?
Like myself. Nobody is exempted from corruption.
Then we can't deal with it ever.
So I always say that all we must do is that we must talk to people gradually to change. But you say to root out corruption, it will never work. Because the pastor, he has a certain church member who is in government, who brings the pastor money. Where does he get the money from? The pastor will never ask that church folk.
Should they reject it?
If the Spirit of God tells you reject it. But if he doesn't tell you, you accept it. But the question is, why don't you ask the person where he got the money from?
Do you ask your church members where they get the money from?
I had one of the persons working in past government. Okay. And when you come to me about settlement, I'll ask you, how did this thing come about? I'll ask you. I want to ask you because I don't want anything to happen that tomorrow I'll be involved. Okay. Oh, I took this money. What happened? I gave it to my pastor. No, I'll ask you. That's why I say I don't want to flow with politicians. Because if you don't take care, the money they give to you, sometimes stolen money, sometimes, how do you call it? Before they do a contract, they give the person the money up front before the contract is given to that person. It's all corruption.
That's interesting to note. Because your church is popular.
By the grace of God.
Notable people are in your church.
Only by the grace of God.
Let me get to appreciate how all of these happen. And perhaps before then, you, became extremely popular for a prophetic statement you made about the president of today, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Contrary to your prophecy that he will not be president, he became president.
I never said so.
You never said he will not be president?
I said, you go and click up to YouTube. I said, the seat is for him. But I'm not sure he can take it because of certain things I've seen.
You are not sure?
Yes, because of certain things I've seen. So if you say
so you're wrong?
I was not wrong. You say...
But he's president now.
So I don't know what he did. The seat is for Mr. Raymond. But if he doesn't do A, B, C, D, I'm not sure he can pick it.
What was he expected to do?
Now it's past.
No, I just want to know so that we know what he did.
So I was speaking from the prophetic background.
Okay.
Based on certain matters of his background.
What are these matters?
It's past.
Because some people actually hold you to it that we can't trust what you say because of that particular incident. So
have I not been prophesying over the years?
Yes, yes. but this is important because that's what to do with political power. And political power is a very serious matter.
God, the same God, told the prophet to go and tell the king, you're going to die. The king said, no, I can't die now. The king went before God, prayed. God told the same prophet, go and tell him he will live for extra years. So every man has the chance to do certain things.
So Nana Addo did something extraordinary.
I can't tell because I was not with him. But I said what I should say.
But did you pray for him?
Oh, no.
Why didn't you intervene?
Every man, you deal with your sickness yourself.
Really?
Yes, because when you go to hospital...
But you're a man of God. People have to come to you for you to intervene.
So when the person comes?
And nobody from Nana Addo's camp came to you?
For this 2016 elections,
yeah,
I only prophesied. I stayed back. Yes.
Okay, so how do you feel he as president of the Republic of Ghana?
Thank God.
He's been 1 year in office.
Oh, for 1 year, it's not been easy.
But has he done well?
I think it's okay.
I'm asking you. I mean, you have a larger...
you also on the ground.
I agree,
think it's okay.
But you have a larger reach than myself. You operate in the prophetic realm. You're just also another human being, like every other person.
Yes, sir.
So what you see is beyond what I can see in this case.
In the spiritual, for now, you don't see Ghana okay in the spiritual. But in the natural, when you ask somebody, I think it's okay, including myself, because I'm a family man. I give money for things to be bought. I know what is out there. I have church members, some are into business, some are into that. They come back and tell me, things are tough.
Things are tough?
Yes.
Are Ghanaians worse off?
Worse off?
Yes.
I'll say for now, yes. And for 2018, yes.
Perfect.
But for 2019, things will be better.
We'll come back to continue the conversation. You're still live on UPfront here. My guest is Reverend Emmanuel Bedu Kobi. I'm sure by now you know why he's my guest here in the studios of UPfront. Very unusual guest, but I'm sure you're enjoying him. We'll be back after this break to continue the conversation. You're welcome back to UPfront. Today we're asking what's the role of religion in the modern state. And early on, we had a brief conversation on the appointment of Martin Amidu as the special prosecutor. My guest today is Prophet Emmanuel Bedukobi. We started with a conversation of where Ghana is going in the year 2018. And I've been asking 1 year of President Akufo-Addo's tenure in office, how far it's been faring. Reverend, you're welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
You did say that it's been tough the first year.
Yes, sir.
Was it expected to be tough?
All I saw within the spiritual atmosphere was that things would be tough in 2017. And so I said it. Whether the government had just come in or whatever, I said this year, 2017, it will be tough.
But inflation is down. We do know that the debt to GDP ratio is also down. So when you say tough, exactly what do you mean? The
question is sometimes we need to connect things to our system. You see, this is Africa. This is not Europe.
Oh,
sometimes I look at all of us and I ask myself, how do we see things? When you are dealing with African, it's different. If it's Europe, everything is in conformity with the structure and the system. Here, the person in the marketplace, they determine the prices. Does the government determine prices? So you say inflation has come down. The person there he determines how he or she sells his or her things. So how do you now say inflation is down and so it will change with things out there? It doesn't work. It doesn't synchronize.
So in the year 2017, did President Akufo-Addo do enough to take us where we're supposed to go?
I will say it as I often say it. It was too much of speeches.
He spoke without action.
Spoke so much, less action. And two, for me, even the free SHS,
yes,
it was not, it was hurriedly done. Jesus says something. He that wants to build anything must first sit down and count the cost.
But we're told the cost, 400 million in the budget.
And how much was paid upfront?
Okay, so 20% is what we're told was paid upfront.
Why?
Because they explained that they needed to take care of some of that cost first and foremost, and other budgetary allocations were required in this case.
And that is your flagship policy.
Yeah.
So what the 80% is it paid?
They say there are plans of paying. We don't know whether they've made the payments yet.
They rushed it. They should have taken their time. You see, though the people will be talking, but don't please them. Do what is right. Eventually they will think, look at this government doing things rightly. It was really rushed through.
So has it been a success or it has not been a success?
To me, it's not a success.
I mean,
because the next, those who are coming in, they're about to also enter, right? Yeah. So that these people will now be in the second year.
Yeah.
Then the first year, even those who are in the second year, those who are now into the second year, you've not been able to clear the 80%.
So, sorry, when you do these evaluations, do you do them on spiritual basis, or you are just doing policy evaluation?
No, I'm now coming back to how it is on the ground.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes. So you told me,
yeah,
I'm talking about physical. You told me this is your flagship policy. This is, you want to do it to help the nation. No problem, accept it. It's a good intention. Jesus said, sit down, count the cost, plan. That's how it should go. So I'm linking it with the spiritual. And 80% still in arrears. The kids are going back to school. Then those other ones coming into the first year, they are coming in. How do you cater for all these?
But the budgetary allocation of 1.13 billion has been made for that particular position. Are you convinced that this money will not get to the people?
2018, it will not be easy.
Oh, well, the same toughness that you said.
Yes.
But let me just finally ask you, apart from free SHS and the problems you outlined with the implementation, what else went wrong in that year, 2017?
Let me just go back and say something to all viewers. Ghana has a serious problem.
What's the problem?
Ghana's problem is more of spiritual than physical. If it comes to doing things, we can do it.
But many have said that this is the excuse pastors have used to actually deceive the nation for a very long time.
Jesus was called a deceiver, but people are following him.
And we are a religious state. 86% of our population are Christian, 14% are Muslim. We surely have what it takes to be seen, in this case, as religious people, don't we?
Jesus was called a deceiver, but people are following him.
So what have you been doing wrong spiritually?
On Christmas Day, they go and appreciate his birth. So do you know the problem? The question is, why don't we sit down and ask, where did we go wrong?
That's the question you're asking.
After Kwame Nkrumah, has the nation, after his exit, has the nation been improving or declining?
If you are using as in periods per each of the times that we've been together, the Fourth Republic has been the most successful.
Successful?
Yes.
Has there been changes in the lives of the people?
In terms of the people who were lifted out of poverty between 92 and 2006, 50% of people who were in poverty were taken out of poverty.
By who? It was done by who?
It was done by government policies throughout the period.
And it is true?
I want to believe so. The statistics show that.
And so many people are poor?
Oh yeah, of course. We have not lifted everybody out of poverty yet, but we have improved the situation. Don't you think so?
I've seen that infrastructure is there now. The physical, a lot of things are there. But the issue is that how many people have progressed?
So Reverend, what exactly is our spiritual problem?
Thank you. You see, any nation, God gives what we call leader or what we call founder. And until Ghana decides to do the right thing, Ghana will have problems.
What's the right thing?
Please, who founded Christianity?
Jesus Christ.
Who founded Ghana?
Well, it's contentious. So
why should it be contentious?
Who founded Ghana, Reverend?
Kwame Nkrumah.
So we should agree on that.
We learned it in school.
The Reverend Michael Koye says it's not true.
Oh, that one can be...
He's a Speaker of Parliament. He's a former professor of law and our politics.
Who declared the independence of Ghana?
Kwame Nkrumah.
So who founded it?
So, and what has that got to do with our poverty situation now?
Let me tell you a truth. Anytime a nation is not appreciative to some, especially the founder, it has consequences.
So when we appreciate Kwame Nkrumah as the founder, we'll be better off.
Ghana must do. You see, everything has its system.
Okay.
When you go by the system, you get what you're looking for.
But we have Founders Day. We reference him, Founders Day. We've been celebrating Founders Day since
Are we still not contending with it?
Yes, we are.
So why are we contending with it?
We have not changed the law yet. We have proposals of changing the law, but we are not changing it yet.
So in a way, we accept him?
Yes, somehow.
Somehow or completely?
No, we don't. We can't all agree on accepting him. There's a plan to change the law. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Why?
Because
do you know, the problem of the black man is that he has time for things which doesn't matter.
Plan to change the law?
No. You see, just accept somebody founded the nation. Give him the due. Let the blessing come on the nation.
So when we just admit that, will we be okay?
By the way, if you decide to reject what has been done, what happens to you?
But under Mills,
do you know what is called sin?
Under Mills, we said Kwame Nkrumah was our founder, but we're not in any way okay.
That is one. It's called foundation.
Yes.
Then there's what we call pillars.
What are the pillars in this case?
Do we know principles that builds a nation?
Which are these principles?
Some are spiritual, some are natural. Because talking about a nation, if you only make it natural, you fail. America started with natural. Are things working for them?
They have a better GDP than we have. They have a better, what they call it, economy than we have today.
Better economy?
Yes.
Better?
Yes, the economy is much more improved than we have today.
And are you sure?
Yes. The American HDI is higher than Ghana's Human Development Index.
Material?
Yes.
But the question is, when you come to our side, the question is, if the more you live the spiritual, you suffer in the natural. That's the truth. Most people don't know these things. You see, every nation, Acts chapter 17, is founded by God.
What spiritually can we do to improve? What can we do?
We don't need to leave out God.
But God is part of it. We do Thanksgiving all the time and give thanks to God.
Is God directing us?
I want to believe so.
Where?
But we are a secular state. We can't wake up and say God direct us. We are a secular state.
Secular means everything is within it.
Yes.
And all those things look up to God. The Muslim looks up to God. The Christian looks up to God. So why don't we go to God to direct us?
How do we go to God to direct us? And which of the gods are we going to for direction?
Almighty God, the creator of heaven and earth.
The Christian one, the Muslim one, the Pentecostal one, the Orthodox one, the God that is being preached to by the African traditional religion.
It's only one God we have.
Really?
The God of this earth.
So you and Akonedi are the same God?
Say it again.
Akonedi, you and him are the same God?
No.
So which God do you think
I'm talking about the maker of heaven and earth.
That's what they also believe, that they have a maker of heaven and earth.
If they believe so, then that kind of God should direct them.
How does he get to direct all of us?
So the issue is that it is not up to us. It's up to the leaders of the nation. Men of God, whoever, come. Tell us what God is saying for the nation to go forward.
You said 2018 is going to be a tough year.
Tough year.
You said it 2017.
I said it in 2016 against 2017. I've said it also in 2017 against 2018. I've only said that 2019 will be better.
Will be better
yes.
in 20. What's going to happen in 2018?
Hardships.
What kind of hardship?
Material hardships. Job losses.
Should we expect
companies will fold up?
Catastrophe?
Catastrophe in what sense?
As in prominent people leaving the earth?
Sure. Those things I've said it.
Who are these? Year,
I don't want to say names and then become
because without that we not get to know the people that
if you say it and somebody thinks have you taken my matter out there, it becomes a problem. Most of them we are tagged.
Have you spoken to the people that would actually
if I get to them, I'll tell them.
Now the question is, how can Ghana avert the hardship that's supposed to come in this year?
Every problem has a solution.
What's the solution?
Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord God with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. He shall direct your path.
What can the president do differently this year?
He should let God direct.
How does he do that?
Seek those he knows it is their job.
But recently, he actually called for a national Thanksgiving. He brought pastors and people together.
Thanksgiving is a principle of God for men, but it's different from direction. Yes, principles are not direction.
I get your point. I'm actually having to ask you this question. There are some who have said that those of you in the prophetic ministry, and they've made specific reference to yourself and the Reverend Osubempa, they say you are hackling over power. Who should get attention from power holders in this country? Is this true?
Nobody needs it, because outside government, God caters for us.
What is your problem with Reverend Osubempa?
I have no problem with him.
Why does he have a problem with you?
Unless you ask him.
Why is he saying he'll collapse your church?
Unless you ask him.
What are you doing about that?
On this earth, life goes on. You get to everything, something happens, you pray, you do the right thing, life goes on. I don't have a problem with him.
To those who claim that, I mean, those of you in the prophetic ministry are false. There's a biblical definition of a false prophet, and you people qualify to be so. What do you say to them?
Jesus said, these things don't matter. Let it all grow to the day of judgment.
I'm told you said Nigerian President Buhari will die in the previous year, 2017.
I never said so. I said he will be taken to hospital twice. It was in my prophecy.
Not dead?
Not dead. I said it rather in this year.
This year then?
Yes.
He will die?
Yes.
If he doesn't die, what happens?
God said I should say it, so I've said it. You see, there's
prophecy. But we should have evidence that when you say it happens.
Oh, I've said a lot. I said President Mills will die on 24th July.
You mentioned the date?
Yes, in church.
So on which day would Buhari die?
God has not told me. When God says, you say it.
Okay.
I see. Because you are just a messenger. So you say what your source told you.
So which of the gods do you believe? Reverend Osubempe's God or your God?
We all have one God.
Really?
And God knows how to deal with every messenger. Because he called them. For instance, you have footballers on the pitch.
But your messages are not in coherence. He has a different message from your own.
I don't know what God told him. For instance, some guys came and asked me, Bishop Daniel Binim is trying to burn some panties and those things. So they came and said, it's not my matter. God called him. God told him to do something. It's not
Should churches pay tax?
Under our laws, are churches enjoined to pay tax?
They are not going to make it so.
Okay, if that's what they think.
Would you agree to pay tax?
If the law is made, why not?
Would it be okay for churches to pay tax?
For me, I think church already pays tax because the people in the church, they are the church. They buy things out there. I also buy things out there. We all pay tax. So if you still want the church, after paying tax, to pay another tax, that's up to the government.
Reverend, I'm told I don't have any time left, and thank you so much for joining us today. We should do this conversation very soon and continue on a ledger plate and look at the most important issues of the year. I'll be seeing to this year the things you say will bring hardship, and we will see how we can deal with that. Well, folks, that's where we tie the nice ribbons on today's edition of UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa.